Most people have bosses or significant others or family members or friends who are just awful to them. And if that's you, I just want to help you paint a world in which you can just be you and everybody's nice to you all the time and you just get to go after your dreams and you don't have to take up space in your head thinking about these awful people and having to shrink yourself and hide yourself and be triggered by them all the time. There is a world like that and I get to live in it, and I'm not saying that no one's ever going to be mean to me again. However, I do not have anybody in my life right now who is toxic. And in the past, I used to say, I'm the nicest person to ever be punched in the face twice, to have X, Y, and Z happen to me. And I mean, I laugh now, but it's true. Like, I have been. And those are stories for another day. But I've always been the nice person, and I've always held my tongue, and I've always just been really careful with other people's feelings. And I've always felt really bad if I accidentally hurt somebody. And I would just attract these people to me, and then I wouldn't get rid of them. I would just keep them for too long. And so now I'm coming from a place where everybody in my life, it feels really, really good to have them there. And I can just kind of fly and be free and create and make these videos and not worry about the trolls who were actually part of my inner circle at one time. So we're going to talk about people at work. We're going to talk about family members. We're going to talk about significant others and friends. And instead of just giving you advice, I'm going to tell you what I have done or what I would do in these situations. And I really hope that it's helpful to you. First of all, let's describe these people. First one is negative people. So they're just complaining all the time, bringing down the mood and the energy around them. Now, there's a way to protect yourself and to just be your happy, joyous self, even with those people, because a lot of times they're pretty harmless. But if it's your significant other and they're in the same house as you, it can be hard to just always have to overcome their negativity and our own, because no matter how enlightened we get and no matter how much we meditate and no matter how much personal development we do, we're still going to have those little seeds of thoughts that we are trying to overcome ourselves. So having to overcome someone else's can be really, really exhausting. Next one is manipulation. So these people might use tactics to control or influence others to their own benefit, and they don't care if it hurts other people around them. They're just trying to manipulate and control for their own good. Next one is lack of accountability. And the reason we're defining these is because some of them are a little sneaky and you might not even know that these people are affecting you. So that's why we've got to go over the definition of what I define as people that basically need to not be in your life, or they need to be in a little box. We'll put them in a little box so they can still be in your life, but they're not affecting you. They're in their box. So lack of accountability. They don't take responsibility. So they blame other people nonstop for their mistakes. And whether you can hear it or not, these people are probably blaming you. Maybe they're not saying it to you, but they might be blaming you. Or it can be hard because you know that this person isn't self-aware, because the only thing that we have control over is ourselves. So if you have someone who's just constantly blaming other people and other things for where they're at in their lives, they're just not a person that's going to inspire you or motivate you towards your dreams or make you feel excited to tackle the world each day, right? Next one is criticism. Anyone who is judging and criticizing others, making them feel inadequate or insecure. So I believe that people are still good for the most part, unless they have that psychopathic mental state. Like, there are some people who just mentally, there is something missing. They don't have empathy. They don't have care. They don't have compassion. But most people, they're just scared and they're in pain. And these ones that judge and criticize others, usually they're judging and criticizing themselves super harshly first. And they just have some self-esteem issues and they have some things that they need to work through. And so we're not going to just cut these people but we're going to be aware of them and they might be put in a box too. Because I'm not scared of criticism and judgment. However, if you have somebody, maybe it's your significant other, and they're coming with you to events and parties and things like that, what if people don't want to invite you because your significant other is judgy and critical? So maybe, I don't know, maybe you do need to get rid of them. I don't know. There's some nuance to this. I mean, take or leave what I say, okay? There is some definite nuance to these things. Next one is self-centeredness. So I kind of cringe at this one a little bit because I do think that people need to take care of themselves first so they can have energy for other people. However, this is focusing on when somebody disregards the boundaries of other people and they don't care about other people. And so they're actively affecting other people with their self-centeredness. That's what I'm talking about. And then unreliability, they might be inconsistent and undependable. And I have some people who I deeply love who are very unreliable. However, and these are friends, however, I just don't rely on them for anything. And whenever they show up, they show up. Don't rely on them. It's great if they're there. It's fine if they're not. I have another video on frantic energy and another one on people who are overworked and overcommitted. So I'll post those two videos up there because if you know someone or maybe you struggle with being late all the time and things like that, you might need to offload some things from your life and tighten up your own boundaries so that you can be present in moments. Sorry about the little bit of tangent there. But I'm trying to define the people that we either need to put in a little box or get away from entirely. So that's what this little part is for. The next one is the victim mentality. Ooh, so they portray themselves as victims even when they're the ones who are causing harm. And when you have someone who has a victim mentality, it is really hard to help them. It's really hard to work with them. Their first inclination when anything bad happens is who's the closest person to blame. And if that's you, oof, ouch. Doesn't feel good. Next one is dishonesty. This one is I do not tolerate this. Lying, exaggerating. Well, exaggerating, a lot of people exaggerate, but lying or manipulating situations or people, just not fun. Just go away. Just go away, liars. And yes, all of us have lied, but I am talking about the people who, have you ever had someone in your life where they recount a situation and it is not how it happened? And it's not just memories being faulty. You might even have texts that document and prove how it actually happened. And they're just like, nope, that's not the way it happened. Even though there's proof. Get away from me, you people who are so frustrating. Get away from me. Next one. Next one. This might be the one that I really can't stand. Emotional volatility. They have unpredictable mood swings or emotional outbursts, creating an environment of uncertainty and anxiety. Here's my rule. If you wouldn't do it to a police officer, so you wouldn't yell at a police officer, you wouldn't blow up at a police officer because you might go to jail, then don't do it to me. You can't blame it on having a mental illness or something like that when you can control yourself, when the consequences are big enough. And I could be wrong about this. If you're a mental health professional, please correct me. However, I can have whatever boundary I want for my life. And I do not tolerate emotional volatility around me because I don't have time for it. And I do believe that most people can control themselves. It's just the consequences aren't big enough for them to control themselves. And they just do well with everyone around them just cowering in fear and just like, oh, don't make them mad. Okay. I get really upset about that one because I've just had it so often in my life where I would shrink and I would be so careful and so nervous and so filled with anxiety and actually have health problems because someone else has this emotional volatility, and really it's just them not caring enough about the havoc that they wreak in order in order to just tone themselves down, meditate, have some self-awareness, do some personal growth, work on yourself. Okay. And then isolation tactics. So if you have someone who is trying to isolate others from their support network, that makes it harder to escape these relationships. And I would just be mindful of that, because a lot of times it's wrapped in a cloak of love. I love you so much. I want you to be with me all the time. I only want you to be with me. I love you so much. And really, they're scared. They're scared that if you go out, you'll find someone better than them. You'll have friends that are better than them. They're scared. And so they need to figure out their own principles of follow the love and not the fear. Okay, let's get into this. Let's first talk about if you're dealing with someone at work who is like any one of these things. And let's say that it's bad enough to where you can't just put them in a box. You can't put them in a boundary box. It's just not possible. So you're just suffering. You're just suffering every day in that job. My advice to you is to build up your skills so that you don't need that job, so that anyone would want to hire you. Save money, send out applications. You've got this. It's my advice to you. And if you're in business and you have a client who's like that, build up your business. Make it so you don't need them. Do the same things. Get so good that you can have any client in the world. Take your time and know that there's going to be an end point, and you know that you'll be able to get out of it. And let's talk about that time where you're in the transition of trying to build up your skills, trying to save up money, trying to get out of this situation. Let's talk about what to do then. Michael Singer is one of my favorite authors who talks about this, and he talks about how in any moment, technically, we can have joy and peace. Even if someone's yelling at us, we can have peace and contentment and joy. And I've tried to practice that, and he is correct. And contrast in life is not a bad thing, especially when we're grounded and we've meditated and all the things. However, my opinion is I just love being around people who are working on themselves, people who are improving. And I'm pretty tough when it comes to these things, meaning if somebody is mean to me, I don't ever want to speak to them again. However, if they grow and develop, I have had people who did bad things to me. Editing Rhino Julie here, just to clarify. By bad things, I mean I've had somebody yell at me and throw the keys of my building at me. I don't mean like the ones who punched me in the face. I'm never going to talk. Like, it depends on how bad it is. It depends on if I decide that they are potentially harmful and might hurt me or my loved ones again. So yeah, I don't mean really bad things. I just mean unsavory things where they were just not quite developed personally, and they can grow and get better. And the ones who have stolen money from me, things like that, I'm not going to be rude to them when I see them again. I guess that's what I'm saying. I'm not going to be their friend. It depends on if it's a character issue or just they were young and immature and they hadn't grown yet, right? I think you guys know what I mean. And I forget it ever happened, because when they walk into the room and I haven't seen them in 10 years, I can feel their aura, their presence. I can feel that they're a completely different person, and I don't even hardly remember the thing that happened. However, I want everyone around me to also be working on growing and developing. Nobody has to be perfect. That's not a thing. But it's so fun when you surround yourself with people who are also trying to grow. If it's a significant other and you're not living together, break up. You can always start dating again if they work on themselves, right? There are how many 8 billion people on this planet? If you're working on yourself and you're growing and you're improving, and they're the same old toxic person that they've ever been, In 10 years, you're going to break up with them anyways. You might as well do it now. If you're living together, get out. Get out. Do what you need to do. Save the money, increase your skills, get out. Do you really want to spend the rest of your days on this earth being with this person? There's no nuance. There's no questioning. There's no, oh, should I stay with them? This part is so nice. The answer is, if they're growing and working on themselves and they don't revert back to their old behavior, sure, stay. It'll be fun. You guys can work on yourselves together. But you know in your heart if there's somebody who wants to change or if there's somebody who's going to stay the same. And you can always go back to them. But here's the thing. When you quit a job, when you fire an employee, when you break up with somebody, you don't ever regret it. You don't. There are some people who go back to people, but it's just because they're lonely. It's following that fear, right? So if you're feeling lonely, so you go back to an ex, that's not wanting them back because you made the wrong decision. It's being lonely, or maybe they had some redeeming qualities that you wanted to experience in between other partners or something. I don't know. And it's so easy for me to sit over here and say these things to you, but I've done it. I've gotten out of some really, really, really tough and toxic situations over and over and over. And I never made the same mistake twice in relationships, but I've made a lot. I would say, I'm never going to date this type of guy again. And then it would be a different type of toxic behavior. And now I am with someone who is amazing and who he's just amazing. And I'm so thankful to be with him. And I'm so thankful for what we have. So I'm speaking from a place where I've done it. I'm not just telling you to get out. I'm telling you that I have been in these relationships. I've been living with somebody and I needed to get out. And I've been in a place where it was dangerous and I needed to get out. And I did. And it's hard. And I think the biggest advice I have here is that you know in your heart, your intuition is telling you. But there's fear. There's fear of, what if I don't find anyone better? So what? Be by yourself with a dog. My dog's right here. She's amazing. I could be by myself. And you don't know that until you get the reps in of being by yourself and loving yourself and doing the personal growth. And then you're like, wow, I don't need a person. I always said, would I rather be alone or be with this person? And the answer was always, I'd rather be alone because I know myself. I'm growing. I'm trying. And they're not. Yeah. So, it's a juicy one. Might have to come back to that one later. If it's a family member, have fun stating your boundaries. If it's a family member. I had a significant other's family member be toxic. And here's what I did. I said, if you trigger me, I'm going to need some time before I see you again. And then when I would get triggered, I would just wait for a long time until I was over it. And so it's like, basically, if they want me in their life, then that's my boundary. You've got to be nice to me. I'm kind of pretty hardcore with this. I've told everyone close to me, you've got to be nice to me or else I'm not going to be here. And my dad said, what? So if I'm not nice to you, like, you're not going to, be around? And he was joking. And I said, Dad, don't test me. And I meant it. But I know my dad won't. He loves me. I'm very thankful. I'm very thankful for my family. And maybe I shouldn't even, speak on this part because I don't have that immediate experience. However, with this significant other's family member, this person was a tyrant to everyone else in the family and me at first. And then I stated my boundary and I said, I'm only coming to see you if you're nice to me. And I was the only person she was nice to from then on out. For years, she was just nice to me. And she's like, when is Julie coming to see me? So that is my little bit of experience. And also, I do feel like I'm right about it. Because just because we're born into something doesn't mean that they earn our love. They've got to earn our love. Just because we're born into it, just because we share blood, doesn't mean that they deserve all of us. And finally, if it's a friend. So for me, I just limit time more and more and more. And I hang out in groups with the ones who I have a hard time with. And that's worked out really, really well for me. It's still hard. Sometimes when we're at a lonely place in our life, we can fall too quickly into friendships. And maybe that's a better thing for me to speak on. I'm really careful with my friendships. And I'm myself. If I want to hang out with someone, I reach out to them. But I kind of call it the slow burn. When I meet someone and I'm like, ooh, they're a cool person, then I don't really do anything. But if I think about them, I just invite them. And if they say they're not available, I invite them again. And I'm not attached to the outcome of it. But there's a woman who we've known each other 5 years and we're getting closer and closer. And it feels amazing. But we have 5 years of trust and reps. And so I guess what I'm saying is I don't go too hard, too fast into friendships anymore. All right. So I do have a video and it's how to handle guilt, fear, and family with love. If you're trying to leave, like maybe the town that you grew up in, or maybe you're trying to leave a religion or something like that. I do have a video. I'll link it. You might enjoy that one. Can't wait for our next coffee chat. Bye.